this is a reflection of our species producing about 24 trillion kilowatt hours a year in energy. All right? Now, that's a large number, but keep it in mind, it's very important. These big numbers are very important, okay? Don't worry about percentages. Who cares about percentages or relative numbers? It's the absolute numbers that matter in all of this discussion. So we are going to continue producing more energy up until at least 35 trillion, probably 40 trillion, and we'll talk about why we're going to do that, why we need to do that, why we should do that. It would be unethical not to. So this is the distribution of power by type. The world is 2/3 fossil fuel for electricity. It's 95%, 96% for transportation. I'm not going to talk about transportation a lot. It's just dominated by petroleum, and the only way to really get rid of that or make a dent in it is to go to fully electric vehicles, but they're going to need more electricity. But electricity, we're 2/3, 1/3 split almost equally between nuclear and hydro. It's been, it will continue to be that way for 40 years more unless we make some radical. Now, it depends on where you live, of course. In the United States, there's still 2/3 more nuclear, a little less hydro. Renewables are coming up. Even here, it depends on where you live. Washington State is the least of any of the states. Great nuclear plant working out there. West Virginia. West Virginia is the biggest coal, the biggest fossil fuel. Florida, similar talk. Sorry. Illinois has the most nuclear. Illinois is 50% nuclear. Okay, so Obama loved nuclear. He just wasn't allowed to talk about it. European Union, a little bit more nuclear because of France, a little less hydro. Korea, about almost 30% nuclear, and their plan 30% nuclear, as was Japan until Fukushima. We can talk about that too later on.
I can't tell what's buffering in here, but
because Korea and Japan and several other nations have no resources to speak of. They have no fossil fuel. They have no resources that are worth anything. No solar resources that are worth anything. They don't even have mass to feed themselves. So if you want to be dependent on China or Russia or the United States for your fuel, then you go nuclear. That's the way to get rid of that. Now, China doesn't look like much, but they building a nuclear power plant every month. Not just breaking ground, finishing construction, and hooking up to the grid every month. And hooked up reactors. That's our technology. Oh well. We'll get there by 2030. They're doing it now. So their plan, and they tend to stick with their 5-year plans, is to 80 large nukes. 100. We only have not even 100 anymore. We keep foolishly shutting down ones that are good. The world has 40, and so they want to have 180 by 2035. Because they know this. This is no secret. Now they're also building new coal, and they're also building new gas. And we'll talk about why.
you just have to wait, and it'll look like that.
This is the consumption growth curve. It's very steep. Has nothing to do with us. We were last century. We are not this century. We're last century. And we're kind of stable at 4 trillion kilowatt hours a year. We'll go up slightly in the next 20 years, but not very much. The world is presently like. Now, fossil fuel, the big question is we're going to keep going up and up and up ad infinitum. We're going to turn over at some point. We'll talk about why the mid-30s is probably a good number to turn over at. Now, presently, fossil fuel is 2/3 of the present electricity generation. So if we're going to get up to 5, then we're going to have to come up with like 20 trillion kilowatt hours of non-fossil fuel just to keep fossil fuel where it is now, not to roll it back, just to keep it where it is now. That's 20 trillion kilowatt hours, more than all fossil fuel today. So again, you not just think about today's numbers, you have to think about the future numbers, because things are growing. And if you just make policy to address what's going on now, you're going to miss what's actually going to be going on in the next 10 or 20 years, and it's going to overtake you, and you're going to be frustrated. To address any of these environmental issues we seem to care about, we have to come up with an offset of fossil fuel energy. Now, the reason that curve is so steep is these people. About 1 billion people, no access to electricity whatsoever. 4 billion still burn manure as their main source of energy, and at least 3 billion people are coming out of energy. And you might say, well, we have ours, keep them down. Well, it's kind of, because it turns out it takes about 3,000 kilowatt hours per person per year to lift someone up out of poverty. Poverty, all these at least 3,000 kilowatt hours per person per year. Been known for a long time. It's something called the Human Development Index, which I'll talk about now. So we talk about Glasgow or Egypt or Paris COP meetings. The only questions that were relevant there, a lot of detail, nonsense, but the only questions that are relevant are how are we going to give these people 3,000 kilowatt hours per year without giving them coal, and who's going to pay for it? That's it. Well, the only two questions that matter, right? You're going to because it's unethical not to, and how are you going to do it? Giving them coal. So, Human Development Index. I encourage you to Google unhdi.gov and the y-axis is the HDI. It goes to 1. Okay, 1 is absolute heaven, 0 is absolute. When we the x-axis is per capita per person energy use per year. Now we have two different strategies in this world, or we need